The Don't Fox Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Don't Fox Podcast. I'm Ronnie, he's Paul, and after 17 days, United have their first win of 2026. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell on YouTube, support the pod, buymeacoffee.com/Don't Fox Podcast. You can listen to don'tfoxpodcast.com and you can give us a follow on social media. We're at Don't Fox Podcast.
Coming up on this week's episode, the week that was, Air Review, Good, Bad and Ugly, Mirren Preview, Loan Report, Academy Lads, Women's Team, the Tannadice Test, On This Day with the Arab Archive, and Idlewild frontman Roddy Woomble is our special guest. It's all coming up on episode 319 of the Don't Fox Podcast.
Before we get started this week, we want to give a little mention to a long-time United fan and an occasional podcast listener, Kev Mears, who sadly passed away a few weeks back. Kev was a great lad and will be sadly missed by all of his family and friends, and Ronnie and myself would like to send our condolences to those that knew and loved him at this incredibly sad time.
So welcome back to the award-winning Don't Fox Podcast with Being All Romantic with a day in the Eddie Thompson, Paul McNichol, and reading numbers in the correct order clearly isn't my thing. Ronnie Costello. You have a wry smile on your face.
Can we speak about that? What happened, Rondo? What happened?
Well, I mean, I'm no used to reading out Dens Park attendances.
No, okay.
So it threw us for the start. But I just read the numbers in the wrong order. That's literally what happened. And the best thing is, I didn't even notice. Didn't even notice. No, because
as soon as I heard 7,000, I didn't care what the other three numbers were, but as soon as I heard that, we were all like that. Come on.
I think it was 4372 or something like that. And I just read them in the completely wrong order. So
did somebody hate to say to you, here, Rondo? Yeah, are you sure about that number there?
It's like, I think you said 7,000. I was like, nah, look, it says 4,000 there. No, you definitely say that. It's like, no, I never. No, you definitely did. Right, and as usual, Ken, spinning that many plates at the time, because Pan then goes and scores, the star man of the match to announce, and then I've got a reday of that, and it was like, I'm probably going to fuck this up again. Like, so that's how I generally just read the numbers in the wrong way, because I'm looking at my screen, and I looked back at it, and I went, I mean, it definitely says 4. So there's no danger I would have said that, but clearly did. Just got them wrong. And actually, it was that weird thing that you did, yeah. They obviously had a bit of fun with it because they were like, Dundee can't account, right? Dundee can't account. And I thought, that's fair play, like, Ken. It didn't last that long. And because obviously full time was coming up, and I was going to say at full time, you know, I might not be able to count, but I could tell we're in the next round, but it's a wee bit cheeky. But then my microphone didn't work anyway, so I was like, so I just summed up my day. Ultimately, though, we went through, so it didn't matter as much.
Nothing matters.
But it was, it was in at them. It's
the only thing that'll matter is when Air United send with the bill for half the attendance, dosh, and they're like, well, we heard a decent source that 7,000 were at that game, so we're looking for a lot more money than this.
It was someone else, like, so I just generally that's literally I was. I just read the numbers, but you see if a 7's not in it, then I'm totally thrown off. But I'm used to reading big attendances this season.
That's it.
Team. So so that's what because any of my mates get fucked up the road, I daft it. And he said, he was like, he says, oh, I see you're getting a bit of stick in that, whatever. And I said, damn, I says, but I'm not used to reading out your crowds, you know what I mean? So it threw us off. Oh, so like, no, it's definitely like that, mate. It's definitely like that. There's no comparison here. So that's literally what happened. So
it was good fun.
Oh, hilarious. What a good laugh.
Fun. I had a rare laugh.
Before we get to that, we have got a massive week that was. There's loads of stuff happened in the Dundee United stratosphere to discuss. Neil Ferrugia is United's first January signing, a 2.5-year deal. He's expected to compete for one of the winger spots. Could also cover a wing back. And I thought we might be able to talk about his first performance. But it didn't happen. He kept his earths firmly in the set. But a new man is in the squad.
Yeah, of course. I dare say that I hadn't heard of him, Rondo. I don't care if many United fans will have heard of him. And I'll certainly not be putting too much stock at this present moment in time into what fans of his old team are saying about him online, because it's no overly glowing. But then neither was it when we signed Sam Dalby, and he was very good for us. So when I seen him coming in, and when I saw that what position he was, my immediate thought was, he's probably going to be Will Ferry's replacement. That was where my mind went straight away. But we'll see in the fullness of time. He does seem to be a very versatile player. Like, he could be wing back, winger, either side of the park apparently. So we'll see. Hopefully, from what I've read about him, hopefully we get the Shamrock Rovers version of him rather than the Barnsley version. But yeah, time will tell on that front.
And that Shamrock Rovers version of him, he stacked up a lot of performances, goals, appearances. I'm pretty sure they possibly got a cup as well, and a cup final and that. So fair play, and United were in for him this time last year, but he went to Barnsley. I mean, end of the day, we've said this a million times, League One, there's a lot of money down there. So
of course there is,
but the second time asking, like I say, Jim Goodwin's got his man, but he does see him as a more sort of forward-thinking player. And I mean, you see some of the sort of clips of how he plays for Shamrock Rovers especially, you think, fair play. Fair play to him. So,
not looking forward to seeing him, but he might bide his time if Will Ferry keeps playing the way that he's playing.
Yeah, so that was the first bit of news. Academy graduate Harry Welsh is off on loan. He's off to League Two outfit Stirling Albion until the end of the campaign, and he was a young lad that sort of impressed you pre-season.
He did, yeah. I suppose the surprise there, and I don't know if he's had an injury or anything, but the surprise is that it's taken half the season to actually get him out on loan, because it's not like he was really around the first team squad in the same respect as like a Sturton, Cleel Harden and Constable were for a period of time. So it's good that he's out there. Hopefully he gets plenty of minutes when he's at Stirling, and it'll be beneficial for him.
Yeah, because he is young though, isn't he? He's like one of the 17-year-olds or something.
He's still a bairn. He's still a bairn.
His mum and dad will need to drive him to Stirling and all that.
Probably.
Again, going into men's football, you'll ken about it pretty quickly.
He will ken about it. He absolutely will. Like, that's it. You can only hope that these things work out for him. But the fact that he's put himself out there, the club have allowed it to happen as well. It's a positive thing.
United are in talks with Ferencvaros as Isaac Pato's season is over, according to Jim Goodwin, by the looks of it.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. At the time, and even in the days after the initial injury, everybody was kind of the mind like, his season's done. Like, when he's done whatever he's done to his knee, it was just so unlucky for him, for the club, because the first few games he looked absolutely phenomenal. Now, whether or not he would have continued that, who knows, because we've seen players come in before, even this season, where they've looked absolutely unplayable for 4 or 5 games and then they just disappear. But I think we were speaking about it last week, and I was saying, like, in an ideal world, you would just cancel the loan, because it's no serving you at all. Like, if anything, it's hindering you, because you can't then bring somebody else in on loan, because you've got this guy that can't play, but you're having to fulfill your end of the contract. So hopefully something can happen with that. But it's just unfortunate, because he did promise so much at the start of the season, and like, fate was against him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how, or know that you'd be in, but it'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall in those kind of discussions in terms of end of the day. Like, you're saying you're going to take this player for a year, pay X amount of his wages. Are his team going to just want to take him back? But again, he's been doing his rehab and everything here, so if they're wanting to do it, maybe that is what happens. But yeah, massive for a young player as well to lose like a year of his career. Especially, like you say, started bright, started well, looked like he'd be the dog in the midfield, harrying at boys, hassling at boys, and it was devastating certainly for him.
I think we thought he was going to be our Ross Docherty for this season, and perhaps even like an upgrade on that, and it just didn't happen that way, unfortunately. And it was so early in the season as well. Like, it was Vienna away, wasn't it? So yeah, it was a cruel twist of fate for us and for him. who knows what the future holds? If he was to go back now, is there any chance that we maybe get him back on loan next season? Like, would he even want to come back? Who knows? But as it stands right now, it's in everybody's interests of a tangerine persuasion that the loan agreement kind of gets torn up and he goes back there.
Just turned 22 as well, December. So.
Just a burn.
Just talking of burns. United are set to offer Kai Hutchison a contract amid Wolves' interest in him again. Another player that piqued your interest when you've seen the odd academy game or two.
Yeah, he's raw. He's rough around the edges, but he's got something. Clearly, he's got something. He's done well when he's been on Scotland duty as well with the under-15s and whatnot. Scored a couple of goals. I think his agent's maybe Craig Conway, but maybe podcast pal Craig Conway. So, yeah, the fear, like I've got with loads of these names that you hear coming through in the last few years and like in years to come as well, they'll probably get pinched. And I say pinched, and you usually get like financially compensated a wee bit. But ultimately, when you hear these names coming through and there's a wee bit of excitement about them and you get told, oh, they're quite good, they're highly rated, and then you just never get to see them. And that's the fear again with him. And like we've not even signed him, so we've not even got that far. We might not even get that far down the road with him. He might end up down south, getting paid a lot more money. Who knows? But from what I've seen of the lad, and he's not ready to go into the first team. Like, I wouldn't have kid anybody on and say that. No, for what I've seen, certainly. And obviously, I've got AMA coaching badges, Rondo. I get what I'm talking about.
Pro licensed Paul McNiggle.
Exactly. UEFA license, you bugger. But he's nowhere near ready for first team football. But he's on a trajectory, and it's an upward one. And he looks like he's going to be moulded into a very good player one day. So it would be great if he was to sign a contract and hang around. But ultimately, money talks, doesn't it? So we'll have to wait and see on that front.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that the rules are you can't actually offer the contract till they're 16 anyway. So that's obviously the chit chat there and then.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, it's about these players going down England. He wouldn't be the first. He was certainly not be the last. I mean, you talked for our own players, but just across, the country. I mean, Aberdeen have lost boys. Johnston
lost somebody to Man City.
Yeah. So I mean, it does happen. And again, I know. Harking back to Brandon Forbes, like, he wasn't our player, I get that, but he was in our academy for a year and he goes down to Norwich. See who he's just joined on loan?
Tamworth, yeah.
Tamworth in, I don't know, National League 2 or something or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it for years on this podcast. I don't blame anybody for going down and getting their wages increased by whatever it is. It's probably quite a substantial amount compared to what United are paying them. But you can't help but look at that and think, I could easily see a scenario where Brandon Forbes was in and around the Dundee United first team for the last 12 months. 100%. Given what we saw him produce in that Ayr game alone. And I'd seen him a good few times in the academy. The boy was outstanding at that level. And I get it, like there's people that I have previously said are really outstanding at the academy level and it just doesn't translate into the men's game. But I think he had a real chance. And ultimately he's went down there, he's playing for Norwich under 23, maybe academy, and now he's away down to the National League. And I don't know. I don't know enough about the National League, but I can't help but think, purely from a footballing point of view, taking finances completely out of it, which I know you didn't and you can't, but from a footballing point of view, it would have been better for him if he was in a Scottish Premier Division's first team squad. Yeah,
it's like you say, they'll not be the first, not be the last. Obviously, Alan Dalmaraki's down there, and again, no heard from him since he went there or whatever. No. So, and same me last year, one of our centre halves.
Exactly, yeah. Then I go to Norwich, folks. Is that what you're trying to say here, Rando? Then I go to Norwich, nothing good happens.
I mean, Philip Clement's the manager there. So,
yeah, Christ.
But yeah, so ultimately it's one of them. It wouldn't be, but hopefully they can, his agent, if he's listening, because we know who you are.
Bring him back.
And we'll be right on the blower.
Bring him back.
If there's a magic CD dished out at that event in March that we're doing, I'll speak about that later on. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. I know you're a big fan of co-op agreements, Paul.
I am.
And Owen Stirling has been added to the one with Airdrieonians.
Yeah, and I saw, so people were losing their shit when that got announced, weren't they? And I didn't see it at the time, but then I went back and I read what United have put out, and it's no like we're sticking him out on loan. Like I can see a scenario where Owen Stirling is part of this co-op agreement in name alone, and that is it. Because if he's in and around the team and we're needing him, he's going to be at Tannadice for the rest of the season. I still don't really get, and I would say the same with Sam. Like if Sam gets a run of games, which you could argue he maybe deserves or whatever, I think yesterday he was excellent, and we'll get there. But if these guys are needed at United, they're obviously going to stay here. We're not just going to ship them out to Airdrie because they are part of some co-op agreement. I think Scotty Constable will be there, hopefully for the rest of the season, so that he gets games. But yeah, I didn't. It was a surprise that it came out, but I didn't lose my mind over it like some people were doing on Twitter and whatever, just thinking, what would they loaning him out? Well, we've not really loaned him out. Like he's when it come out and when I read the article, it says he'll be in their squad. The morning, like 100%, he'll be at least be on the bench. So yeah, I think the co-op things are a strange thing, or maybe it's just United's use of it has been strange this season, because I didn't see up until now anyway, no positives for your side or for Airdrie side, really. There's nothing. But as I say, Scotty Constable's, he was there yesterday, got some minutes. Hopefully that's what's going to happen going forward. But me personally, I would like Stirling and Sam to just stay at Tannadice, but to get game time.
It's. I think we mentioned it last week. It'd be interesting to see Scotland-wide how the co-op agreements have went. It'll work better for some teams and others that a winner, you know what I mean? So, ultimately it's about picking the right team. And if do you go and get an agreement with a couple other, somebody a league down for that and whatever? I don't know. I've none against we like to say some of the young ends, Harry Welsh and that, going out on actual loans, because
100%.
But Scotty Constable, a wee bit strange, but maybe to start the season there was a different plan that he can go, and like you're saying, just being in name alone, because it was the same yesterday. It was one of the first things said, I think the teams were just out, it must have been just after 2:00, and one of the guys in the gantry is going, can you imagine that, big cup game and a nail and stuff? And I'm like, he's on the bench, like, he's on loan. I was like, he's on the same deal as Sam Quayle-Harding.
People misread it, People misread it.
So yeah, but strange, but ultimately, like you say, it might just be a name alone, so we'll see what happens. Lewis Haldane is headed for Genefield Swifts on loan till the end of the season.
Yeah, and as long as he plays, that's a good move for him, because he was wasting his time at Cowdenbeath. He was the backup keeper. He played a couple of games. It didn't make any sense to me at the time to send a young laddie on loan to go and sit on a bench for Cowdenbeath. So hopefully he goes to Perth. And I know it's the juniors, it's a level down from the Lowland League, I think Cowdenbeath were in. But ultimately, if he's playing, he's playing. Like that's how he gets experience, and that's how he gets better at what he does.
Well, that's really young as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's no more than 18. Yeah, just a bairn.
This will shock you, Paul, that Willie Collum is adamant that Nick Walsh was correct to only award a yellow card for Julian Aranjo's wild challenge on Will Ferry last weekend. The SFA's head of refereeing says the tackle was high-end reckless, but insisted VAR's Andrew Dallas was right not to refer Walsh to the Monarch, while the tackle was ill-advised. The fact it connected with Ferry's boot and no higher meant that he wasn't endangering the safety of the United player. What an absolute lot of shit.
Basically what you said, Rhonda. Surely if it doesn't matter if it's high-end reckless or low-end reckless or whatever, like it's fucking reckless. And by definition, it's dangerous if it's reckless, is it not?
I mean,
like, it's one of these things that doesn't matter what they say. If they come away with shite like that, I'm gonna disagree, because I've seen it with my own eyes a few times now, and I think it's a red card. And they've watched it and they're trying to back up. I think they come to the conclusions they come to because a lot of the time they're trying to back the decision that's been made rather than think, Unless it's like clearly and blatantly obvious, then they usually do come out and say, we got that wrong. And you're only saying that because the whole country thinks you got that wrong. But in this instance, I thought it was a red, you thought it was a red, and they're just sticking to their guns.
It's, how can it be high-end reckless, but then not endangering the safety because only connected with his boot? Right, so he could break his foot and it's all right then. Like, generally, or his ankle, or whatever. Like, because he gets his boot, but his whole ankle turned bollocks.
It's late. It was a lunge. You see when you slow it down, you see Will Ferry's shin guard being moved. So regardless if it's the top of his foot, like his leg's been caught as well, whether that's by Araujo's leg or boot, you could argue that. But ultimately, it's a reckless tackle, and it probably should have been a red card.
He did say it though. That it just sounds they are just doubling down to protect their own.
Yeah, 100%. 100. But again, like it didn't really matter what they came out with and said. I have made, in my own mind anyway, for me, I have made my mind up. I've seen it and I think it's a red card. So if they're coming out and saying anything that goes against that, then I'm just thinking it's bullshit. And that's exactly where we're at.
Be a red card if it was us doing it. Be a red card if any team outside Glasgow done it, to be fair. But.
And you know what? I would probably say it should have been. But I think I'd be honest enough to say it, like if it had been the other way about, if that's Will Ferry going and late and reckless on Araujo, I'd be like, a stupid tackle, like especially at Parkhead. What are you thinking? That's a red card. But no, when it's the other way about, it's high end. Like we're creating phrases now that have never existed in Scottish football. High end reckless. Willie, you're talking shite, pal.
Willie is being a Willie. Couple of rumours to finish off the week that was. Vancouver Whitecaps are back in for Will Ferry.
Yeah, I didn't see Will Ferry being here next season. I really didn't. Yeah, I don't. Whether or not he's here for the remainder of this season, I don't know. But I don't see him being here next season.
And I also think that that's probably something that works for both parties there, because he gets a move that he might want a new challenge. And I'm not saying that's the words, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but United will also get a fee for a player that they've, I would think, have helped really bring on in 2 years.
And like, again, we don't know what happened like a year and a half ago when he was signed. It's maybe a case of, look, we're going to give you this 3-year deal. However, the ultimate plan is to sell you on in 2. And then I think the offer came in after 1, and United were like, okay, like I could see that your wages are going to go through the roof, but what we're getting offered for you is not what we think that you're worth. So we're going to hit and knock that back. And I think that's why Will Ferry, he just hasn't seemed happy this season, or as happy as he was last season. Now, performances, I think they dipped a wee bit, if I'm being honest, but the last few weeks they've been back up to what I think his level of performance was last season. But I think ultimately, and I think does their season start around about March or something? So do they have a different transfer window? Or I'd like to see him finish the season at Tannadice, but who knows? Who knows? I do not believe he'll be here next season.
He's got more points than United have in 2026.
Oof. No comment.
So I'm saying £1 million for Will Ferry. That's what we're doing, right? Go on. That's what we're taking. No less, but we'll take more.
Yeah, that's a decent negotiation.
Get me down these talks. It's as simple as that. And a sell-on clause. We definitely need anything.
Oh, of course.
And the final one, a new keeper is incoming. I've got no more detail for you, but that's it.
New keeper. So you must be in a particular group chat. I've heard new striker incoming, but
you could throw that in as well. I'm up for that.
It's that time of year, Rondo, where who knows what's true and what's not and what's going to happen. I guess we'll find out. What I would say is that we definitely need a new keeper. I think we need another body in the building. So, yeah, we'll see.
See what happens. Right. So, that's all the news that's been happening. It's been a bit of a packed week so far. And it was Scottish Cup as Championship draw specialists were heading to the Premiership, or Premier League, whatever it's called now. Draw specialists for the 4th round of the Scottish Cup. Played to a finish, of course, in front of 89,000 at Tannadice yesterday.
Big crowd.
What were you expecting in the lead up to the game, given we thought only 37 fans would turn up?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was expecting, Rondo. Like, obviously, you've got to, if you go into a negative headspace with United, like I usually do, then I'm thinking, right, okay, yeah, the manager's Scottish Cup record's not been great the last few years. It's a potentially tricky tie. I've just sat in the house and watched Hibs get emptied for Dunfermline, who probably no many people would have predicted that. It's the Cup, so like, anything could really happen in that. And I wasn't overly excited about it just because there was no buzz about the game. Like we thought there wasn't going to be a big crowd. I was seeing screenshots of like the ticket sales and whatever throughout the week, and they weren't great. But I still thought there would be like 3,500 at the game, so I wasn't far off. Like you were miles off when you announced it, but I wasn't far off. So yeah, like you're obviously expecting that we're going to win because you're playing a lower league team. You're hoping that we're going to win, and I think you kind of really needed to win that game for a number of reasons.
And there was a pitch inspection, and you were quite happy for the game to be off.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would call it.
You just weren't in the mood, were you? You weren't in the mood yesterday.
I wasn't. No, it was just a shitey weather day. Just could not be arsed. I wasn't up for it at all. And I was hoping that you were going to put on like some sort of fake referee's kit and just roll a ball into a puddle on the pitch, and that was it. Nope, game's off, lads. But yeah, you let us down, Ronda.
Could have been as well been the fake referee, because then it was fucking hopeless.
Very true.
I didn't appreciate. I was tell yesterday. I was like, that's a referee for Dens last week. I was like, he was hopeless. And shock horror, boys just get to tap free kicks wherever they want, tap throw-ins wherever you want. Just do what you like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's no good in, so let's be honest. So we can nitpick about that a day, but there's no good in at present.
Yeah. So United 3-4-3 as always. Even Dolchik still ill, still not quite back to his best. Vichko is injured. Farisha was on the bench, and it was a wee bit of sand had to go down. Hey, that's how we played on Tannadice back in the day. There was absolutely no worries. I watched the referee roll that bar, and it rolled pretty fine, and I was like, get him on, let's go.
Yeah, it didn't look like by the time I got to Tannadice, I was looking at the pitch thinking, like, how was this even ever in doubt? But I think it was just that one patch of sand or whatever, like the pitch. I will say this though, and it makes the good, bad and ugly this week. The pitch isn't looking great this season. I don't know what's went on or what's happened, but it's looking like a bog standard average pitch.
I think it's because of the amount of free-flowing football we play on it.
It might be that, Fish flowing football. I think we're sodding the turf.
Players are turning up in rugby studs.
Yeah, maybe. But it's just not looking great for some reason. Patchy as hell. What do I can? I've got my UEFA licenses for coaching, but I don't have my groundsman certificate. So
UEFA license. He was a scout earlier for the youth academy, and now he's a groundsman.
Well, I mean, I've got the grass before. No Tannadice right enough, but I've got grass before, so it's no one great neck, is it? Let's be honest.
The ever-changing faces of Paul McNichol. But listen, both teams had to play on it.
They did, yeah, they did. And are we just going to skip over the first half?
No, there's a couple of things I definitely need to mention.
Oh, okay.
Because on one hand, it wasn't great. But on the other hand, there was actually things that happened, didn't it? No, like clear cut, like Ross Graham hooks a shot onto the roof of the net, which I actually thought was pretty clever when he done it. Satzer forced a save for the keeper, was in the shortest keepers I've ever seen in my life. Stevenson probably has the best moment, moment or a half. I think the boy Dowd, so I actually thought played pretty well up top for them. I actually thought it was impressed with him, but Dave makes a good save. Two main bits we need to mention. Jamie Murphy. Here's my audition
himself, Devon.
for the Olympic dive team.
Yeah.
Holy mo! Now I am yards for actually going by me in numbers, miles for that incident, and I knew it was a dev right there and then.
Same. Well,
I just wasn't convinced.
I'm further away than you, and instantly I was like, "That's a dev." And then when you see the ref blowing, you're like, no again. Like, no again.
It's not that.
But the ref,
he got it spot on. Quickly. And I thought,
he did.
Oh, no way. And then when it was quite clear the United players were moving up the pitch, it was like, He's delivered it. This is incredible scenes.
But because Murphy stayed down for quite a while, he put his gear back in his hipper. And I was thinking, don't you dare fucking bottle out of this, Mr. Referee, or I will be waiting on Tannadice Street on you after the game here. But no, he let him get his fake treatment for his fake injury after his fake foul. And he got booked, rightly so. It's the way it should be.
I think he probably was injured, given he did go off at half time, but it was just in the moments, because you are thinking, middle of the goal, 20 yards out, and they're getting as their free kick specialist, but you could just tell we've seen this movie before, but ultimately it went the other way, and we were quite happy. And then the only other moment was right of the death.
Yeah, the skirmish.
There was a bit of pushing and shoving.
Yeah, well, and so I no doubt got a far better view of that than you. So what happened was Fatai was taking the boy on, and the boy, whether or not he meant it or not, but it comes off the guy's foot and it goes out for a corner kick. Now the ref gives a goal kick, so that then starts people being unhappy about that. And then there's a wee bit of pushing and shoving, and then he awards a foul. Like, even though the pushing and shoving happens after the play's dead, and Abdi seems to be off the park at that point, so I didn't get where the foul was going to get took for, like the row B in the Eddie Thompson stand or something. And then there's even more pushing and shoving for Taz getting in about it. Waters was sticking up for our teammates. And it was really much ado about nothing, Rondo. But the ref caused that. If he just had gave a corner, which it should have been, then that was it. And then after it, doing and he books whatever he books, half time. Was it a bit naughty for Fatah, or was it purely accidental? I've never seen a replay, so I generally don't can. No, they were all ganging up on him. Or are you on about like before the shoving and that?
Before it, the leg to it.
No, I didn't think it was naughty at all. I thought it was
they both got booked because they both shoved each other. I think that's what it was.
But Amar was shoving Abdi. It was great because Abdi was in his fists. And Waters was wanting to square go Abdi. And there was one funny bit where I think Will Ferry rushes in and he kind of collides with Holt, and Holt turns round as if he's about to go, and then they see what it is and they just start basically but necking with each other. Rondo, I was disgusted with that, but they were just saying a right laugh, thinking, we can't fight sleep, what are we doing here? Let's
like when I booed him on my way in.
Correct. He got some boos. He was on
the phone, and I just sort of booed, but I wasn't like, you fucking art. I was just booing and a smile, and he sort of just nodded and smirked and probably went, fucking arsehole. I mean, he'd be right, but wasn't that great first half? But I thought we had chances, but nothing major. It was probably a fair result.
It was just a poor first half. Poor first half. They didn't. Apart from that one save for Dave, which was very good, although that come for us on the attack. I think it was Will Ferry played the diagonal to Dario. He took a bad touch. The boys run up the line, and I thought the boy run the ball out, to be honest with you. Although nobody seemed to complain about it or put their hand up, so I had to get my glasses checked. And then it's coming to the boy Dowds, and he's had a great shot. It's a good save. Apart from that, obviously it's a cup game and it's nothing's up, and the way things are feeling just now with United, you're never overly comfortable or confident that when they've got the ball and they're attacking. But like when I was at half time thinking about it, I was like, well, they've not really troubled us. We kind of flattered to deceive as well. Like for a couple of bits of play where something looked like it was going to come out, but nothing did. But I thought in general we were relatively comfortable. Like we had a go at them. They were pretty solid defensively at that point. And there was still a lot to play for come the second half.
I think some players maybe thought Scott McMahon still played for United because he got a wee bit of freedom on that left side at some points in that.
Yeah. I mean, he done all right yesterday, I suppose, but
he always gives 100%. That's something you would never.
Yeah, no grievance with him at all.
Yeah, half time. Trabanovski replaced he flued up Sapsford. He's had the flu most of this week, so that's how he'd come off at half time. But I think Abdi probably thought at half time, it's been meh. Move on.
Yeah,
probably.
I was thinking of the thousands that didn't bother going to the game, thinking they're the smart ends here. They're definitely the smart ends.
7,000 there yesterday, on a bit.
Keeps changing.
That's crazy, that. See, he's still 7 in it, though. But better in the second half.
Far better in the second half, yeah. Although, until you get the goal, you're still a wee bit on tenterhooks, thinking, look, we can still mark a no hunt of this. But in general, I felt like we controlled pretty much the whole game without actually looking like we were going to kill them off. But we were in control for the majority of the game. They were defending quite resolutely, as were we. Like, Dave's not really had that much to do. I thought Ross and Big Sam in particular were excellent on the day. Like, it didn't really. There was one occasion in the second half actually where Sam's maybe made a slight error in the middle of the park, and you're like, and he's got to get back, and that's exactly what he did. He bust a gut to get back, and he got the ball off of the boy. Boy didn't even get a shot away. So I thought defensively we were solid. The midfield were working their arses off. Will Ferry was fantastic on the left, but it still took 4 subbies to come on to make a difference. And whether or not that was air tiring or us slightly changing things up, a wee bit more energy in our team, I'm not sure, but it worked a treat.
Yeah, well, certainly before that, obviously, Big Sam had an effort. Fatah it was like Velcro on his feet at points in that game, but they both had efforts. They went on target, and you could just tell it was starting to come. And then obviously there was a couple of things started to happen. There was a wee bit of movement below me when boys are getting shouted back, but then Luca had went down with his hamstring, and then they sort of continued on a little bit, and he shouts obviously Pan back, and you've seen Moller go back, and Owens, Stunton's come back as well, and Ryan Strain was the first thing to get shouted. And you're thinking, all right, okay, and then maybe the injury changes it, because what I obviously kind of seen till they come out. And I think Moller was maybe in the first injury, all right, and him and Strain, you're thinking, all right, okay. And then Stunton joins them, and then Kamara joins them. Like, we are sticking, we are sticking, we are twisting the day.
Yeah, it's like a friendly we are, they subs.
And the 4 changes, like I say, it was pretty much, I mean, it was no lopsided, that's the wrong phrase, but obviously you're not looking, there's no natural width in Owen starting, but it was very much play as a 2. Ryan Strain will come up the side, that'll create the maybe the 4 up top and whatever. But like you're saying, it worked. The changes worked. They were involved.
It worked a treat. And even before the goals, one thing that I absolutely love about Sturton is he is not shy in taking a shot. Like, he had one sort of half chance where he was outside the box, and you just knew he was going to hit it, and it was a decent shot. It got saved. And from that, I think that's when the keeper, who caught nothing that day, but he loves parrying the ball, he pushed it out wide, and then Will Ferry's fired in a first-time cross, and Moller on the head. He probably should have been a bit better.
Donahan right, heads it down right in the corner, and it's just going to off a goal.
Yeah. Whether or not the cross had a wee bit too much on it, maybe.
He walloped it.
Yeah, but it was right where you want it. He walloped it into the exact place that you want the ball to be walloped into, if you will. But yeah, like that, we were by far the better team at that point. We were on top of them. Was there still a nagging doubt in my mind when it was nothing's up, thinking, like, we've seen this before, like this could go pear-shaped still? There absolutely was still that nagging doubt, but as soon as we got the goal, that was it. It was relatively comfortable for me.
And it's on simpler terms, it was a cross-tier striker, and he knocks it in.
Yes. On first viewing, and I have since seen it back, and I've changed my mind, but on first viewing, I thought Strain fouled the boy, because it was the ball. It's a ball for Ferry over to Strain, and I think when I've seen it back, they're probably both at it. They're kind of both wrestling with each other a wee bit, and then the boy just slips. Whereas at the game, because I'm at the other end, I thought Strain's pulled him back and he's fell. And then straight away, I was thinking, well, we're going to look at the linesman. He's no flagging. There's no VAR. We're good to go. And then Muller's done what I didn't believe he was going to be able to do for us. You called it. Wonders will never cease, Rondo. And he's got himself on the score sheet in the 77th minute, wearing number 77. What are the odds?
See, it's all about the sevens yesterday.
It certainly was.
Scott Brown reckons it was a foul and claims that his team never got a lot on the day. Which, on the camera view I certainly seen this morning, there is absolutely no doubt there's no contact for a foul. The boy is literally fell on his arse.
Yeah, I didn't. As I say, when the ball's played over to Strain and he takes a touch and then he's trying to get past the boy, there is a wee bit of grappling between them. But I think they're both given as good as they're getting.
Agree.
And then when Strain actually spins him, the boy then slips and falls on his face. So, yeah, for me, it wasn't a but maybe Scott Byrne hadn't have seen it back by the time he said that, like, if I want to play devil's advocate, because at the time I thought it was a foul as well. But now that I've seen it, nah, good goal. Crack on.
Yes, and I think I suppose one of the good things was we didn't kind of rest on that. We did seem to keep going and keep attacking and try to create more opportunities, and it's just a really nice counter-attacking move that actually at the time I didn't appreciate, that Kamara actually doesn't take a touch. He just opens his body up, passes it into the back of the net.
Yeah, brilliant. And it come as a result of Ayr, because it was so close to the end of the game and they were trying to get something back. They had committed a wee bit of more men forward, leaving themselves a little bit exposed at the back. But we took full advantage of that. Trapanovski's picked up the pass, and then he's nutmegged the boy, which I didn't see at the time, obviously. And Kamara, as you say, like, he's finished it with a plum. Like, it couldn't have been much better finish for him. First time.
Yeah, and that would be kind of all she wrote. Like, says, hey, because there's no fourth officially, and the kind of time added on, kind of anything. It was chaos. I mean, I thought it was just mark up day, and that's just what really happened. Clearly,
it certainly was at some points. Yes,
quite a comfortable scoreline in the end. The stats all back that up as well, but there was still that odd moment of Dundee United doubt, just because the way the season's been, I suppose, a little bit.
Yeah, plus, as I said, that it's a cup game, and anything can really happen in the games. You know, like, the impetus is all on us. Like, the pressure's all on United yesterday. Like, we can't be losing, or it's a shock. And as we spoke about last week, it felt like after the performance at Parkhead, there was a lot of pressure on the manager. And if we had lost yesterday to Ayr United, that would have only increased. Like, it wouldn't have went away. Like, that would have just got more and more and more and heavier on his back and his shoulders, I would imagine. So we went there, and as I say, I genuinely feel like it was a relatively comfortable scoreline and performance. Ayr came, sat in, defended well. We took the game to them for the majority of the game, and ultimately we scored 2 goals and kept a clean sheet. Like, what more could we have asked for?
So a second clean sheet in 18 as well.
Yeah, which is now a great record.
So the shot is huge. Absolutely huge. He only had one save. That was the only shot on target that Ayr had.
Yeah.
And he dealt with it as he should. It was interesting that after the match, Jim Goodwin said, when you lose 2 games on the bounce in the league, you're never too far away from a crisis. But confidence comes from results. Keep clean sheets. And it'll obviously be a difficult one against Mirren, which we'll get to, because, I mean, if you want a set of players under a bus, that is the team that we face next. But before we move on to that, first goals for Moller and Kamara for United. All the subbies having an impact and contributed. And, you know, that's what a substitute, again, you're on the bench. Fucking hell, bench again, Gaffer. Yeah? That these are the moments you need to make it. I thought Trapanovski, when he came on, was as keen as mustard and had the beating of the right back. Once he got past them once, he could get past them. Same with Fatah when he went to the other side. He just knew he would get past them. One of the funniest moments was Trapanovski being off the pitch and thinking he could just come on the pitch and no be offside.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought, Ken, you're keen to get the bar, but
yeah, it's almost like he forgot the rules in that moment. Yeah, because as soon as you'd done it, you're like, what are you doing? You're clearly offside. Clearly offside. But yeah, he was maybe just keen. Maybe just keen because he's not had much action, so he's just wanted to touch the bar.
So again, good for that. I think Ayr were always going to be about a dogged team, the way they set up, and my boy Bannigan in midfield. God, he annoys me. Oh, fucking hell. But stuffy, but they can counter. And that was there was that odd moment, 1 or 2, when, again, defensively we were just better, we were able to defend it, and there'd be the odd moment, it'd be a 50-50, but we'd win it, we'd come out on top of it. So I thought overall, and apart from the chance they had that they got on target, that was probably the only time we lapsed a little bit defensively, because I think, like you say, overall, I thought we done well. We were certainly, deserved winners, there's no doubt about it. But I say there was still plenty of effort across the game. It just it wasn't a fun for winning the first half, but we still had chances. Like I said, you had DeLuca, you had Ross Graham, you had Fatah had the bar velcroed to his bits points as well.
Yeah,
so
there was times when you were just crying out for somebody to take a shot. In particular, that one in the first half where Lucas Stevenson's ultimately had the shot. Because I think somebody, I can't remember if it's Waters or whatever, but somebody's got it on one side of the box and you're like, shoot, and we'll pass it, and then it goes to start to shoot, and it doesn't, and it ends up back at Luca. And I'm losing my shit behind the goal, so fucking shoot. And Luca does, and he near puts it in the top corner. So there were occasions where I thought we're maybe overplaying this, like just hey, a shot. And that's the beauty when you bring somebody like Sturton on, because his first three thoughts are shoot, 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 and then he might think about passing the bar, but that's way down the line of what he's wanting to do when he's got it at his feet.
So we are in to the Heart for the next round. That's getting done, well, tonight as we record this after is it Celtic Talbot? Is that the game?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And then when you're looking through some of the results, obviously Dunfermline put Hibs out. Airdrie needed penalties to put Arbroath out. Elgin got through. Kelty beat Cove on penalties. Dundee, you see the Kelly goalkeeper?
Yes.
He was louping at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
He louping at Kilmarnock. And then Neil McCann come out and said, I didn't care about the cup.
Didn't care, no. That's because you're out it. Like, I'd be the same, Neil. If my team's not in it, I wouldn't care either, mate. What a statement.
So Mirren went through on penalties. Motherwell, Partick, Spartans put Inverness on penalties. Stenhousemuir beat Morton 4-0, and Falkirk obviously beat the greatest team that's ever walked the earth.
Correct. Comfortably.
Hearts are out as well. So it's a fair few teams that you would talk out of that next time. But only 100%. Home tie
against the worst team in it. Yeah. That's it. Like, give me that until the final. Give me that until the final. I think we're down to 16 now after the games that will get played today. I think it's Talbot, Celtic, Aberdeen, Wraith or something. In no scenario do I see Celtic no being in the next round. Aberdeen, Wraith, you never know. Like that's a possibility there. Who knows what sort of Aberdeen.
Depends what team the sporting director picks.
Yeah, that's a strange situation up the road there. But no, it's the cup. You've just got to be in it. I'm not going to sit here and say I fancy it. I don't feel like it's our year. I don't overly fancy us to win it. But we're still in it. And you just never know what can happen in football. You never know. Like Celtic could get the Rangers. Motherwell could get Falkirk.
You said that with a straight face.
I did. But you said 7,000 with a straight face as well, I'm led to believe. So, two can play that game, Rondo. But you just never know. You just want to be in it. So for me, I usually like getting a derby. I didn't want a derby this time. I just done a PTSD for the last end. So give me the easiest team, or on paper the easiest team at home, and then I send us back to Spartans because nothing good happens down there, Rondo.
Doesn't it? Man of the match.
Will Ferry for me. I completely agreed with the sponsors.
Good. I could have had a few babies as well, but fair play. Before we preview Mirren, then good, bad, and ugly.
The good, bad, and ugly. Well, the good, we had a cup tie. We won the cup tie. Job's a good one. The bad, kind of nitpicking here, Rondo, but I've mentioned it earlier. The Tannadice pitch isn't looking the best. I don't know why that is. I know that there was a turnover in groundsman, and I'm not totally blaming him, whether it be weather related or whatever, but for some reason this season, Tannadice not looking so good. And the ugly, well, it's the general apathy that fans these days seem to show towards the cup competitions, and it just leaves me scratching my head. The League Cup, I kind of get it, but the fourth round of the Scottish Cup, when the big teams enter it used to be a cracking day, and these days it seems like the majority of fans just treat it like, well, it's only the cup, and it's just a wee bit disappointing for me, Rondo.
Someone up next then, Stephen Robertson didn't mince his words in midweek, did he?
He did not miss. But then they've set a standard. Like, if you want to go a manager speak, they've set a standard by producing what they produced and winning a trophy. And then since that, I think they're still on the piss. But that was always a risk, because a team like St Mirren doesn't win a cup very often, and it's not a surprise to me that that's happened. But yeah, he definitely had a go at them. He didn't miss them, and he told them exactly what he thought about them.
Yeah, and that was, they beat Livingston on penalties to get into the last 16 yesterday, and it's their first win in 6 matches as well. It's been a real indifferent, like they went through this really when they won the cup, they beat us before it. We were fucking rotten that day. They beat Livy, but since then, since December, they've lost 4. Technically they draw yesterday, but when you look at the record, but they've been on a pretty shitey run of conceding 2 goals. They got beat 2-1, 2-0, 2-0 and 2-0. So
yeah,
hopefully that continues.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed.
But we know we're getting against them, man. They're a big physical team. He doesn't like you saying that, but they're a big physical team.
They are, yeah. So it shouldn't be any surprise. The one thing I'll say is that you're never sure what we're going to do. You're never sure what sort of United we're going to get. And what you do seem to be sure of, which isn't a great trait, is that for one half we're probably not going to be great, and then the next half will be all right. Whether that's first half or the second half, that remains to be seen. But we don't seem to be able to string together a really good 90-minute performance, or at least we haven't. It doesn't feel like we've done that for so long.
2 things for you, just to mention. Yesterday, lost the toss. Yesterday.
Yeah, but you can that by the fact that we're shooting Dunaway in the first half.
And secondly, food for thought for the manager for some players yesterday?
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. I think, Mauler coming on and scoring, Sturton coming on and making an impact. Big Sam at the back I thought was excellent. Ross Graham's been excellent for his comeback. Tannadice Test was pretty good. So I would be loath to change that. Strain for Dario, you can make an argument for that. For me, Will Ferry, he's undroppable just now, so we might have to wait a wee bit longer to see the new boy. But I suspect, like what we've did previously against St Mirren, is we try and match up with them, don't we? We usually go 3-5-2. And if that was the case, it's hard to see how Sapsford isn't it in the team, but I wouldn't be mad if it was Mauler and Sturton on the back of the way that they finished the game against Ayr United. But as I say, I kind of foresee Sapsford, if he's fit, no being in that team. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think once again, we will probably line up the way that the opposition line up rather than taking it to them. But that's maybe not a bad thing, because when we have taken it to teams that have got 3 in the middle and we've only got the 2, we usually get found out.
Yeah, Livy, St Mirren go to Livy actually on Tuesday night as well.
Again?
In the league, yeah.
On the Livy.
on the Martindale Army, and whatever else he's got. It's going to be a tough one. I think we said this. There was the other season when we didn't lose to them, but they were all physical battles, and I expect exactly the same. So it'll be interesting. Depends what Steve Robinson says after Tuesday. Livingston have no won in about 1 million. I think Livy have now
20 games or something,
21 games. So I would like them to win during the week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I think next Saturday it might just come down to who wants it more. It might just be as simple as that. Regardless of systems, formations, tactics, it might be was going to roll their sleeves up and just fucking want it more than the other man. We'll see.
Buy me a coffee this week, Paul.
Well, there's some coffees purchased, so again, thank you very much. Scott T bought 2 coffees, 2 flat whites for 2 gorb shites. Cheers, Scotty T. Keep up the good work, lads. Looking forward to the live show at the end of the month. So are we, buddy. Someone bought 2 coffees, 2 Bovrils for the finest voices on my daily working commute from Forest to Keith. Cheers for the effort you both put in to allow boys to feel in touch and engaged with all that goes on with United. Paul, in particular, I would like to thank you for the honest post-match opinions each week, especially after a crap result. 99.9% of the opinions and feelings you project are exactly how I feel week in, week out. Keep up the great work. Now that I've let it out, Rondo, I could totally understand how the boys not put his name in that, because he's needing to speak to somebody a wee bit more qualified. But thank you again. And Mike Caffrey bought 3 coffees. Highland Arab here, a listener from day one. Love hearing everyone's opinions on our club on a weekly basis. Big respect, lads. Our best. Thank you very much, Mike.
Indeed, thank you very much. buymeacoffee.com/Dude Fox podcast. Time for Tannadice Test. This week, round number 1, player profile. Paul, let's get right in about it. Born May the 16th, 1974, 6'5" striker who was signed June 25th, 1999 by Paul Sturrock, made 36 appearances and scored 8 goals.
Jeez. This is one I should get. This is my era.
It's also
Nice
your
stuff.
height.
Yes, well, almost.
Okay, he's Leo's height.
Bang on.
74,
74, so he's 52.
just with you.
I can't think of what I was psychic. It's under Sturrock. It was Dodds, Thompson.
Could be Dodds, 6'5".
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because he's a giant of a man, is he?
5'6". It could be 5'6", mate. Me and numbers this weekend.
Boy'll be 7 foot, eh? Boy'll be 7 foot.
Arsehole.
I can't think. Boys are going to be screaming at their...
Oh, I kind of repeat myself a lot when I say this.
You think it's
I generally
obvious?
thought this was an easy one to start with.
Yeah, I think it might be as well. I just can't think of who it is. I think I am.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Derby winner.
Faraz. Faraz. The Portugueser.
Oh, jeez. So that's nil point. Higher or lower? Finn Dawson's 4 seasons at United brought 76 goals. Was John Daly's goal tally over 7 seasons higher or lower?
Lower.
You going for?
I think he scored 72. And I'm just guessing. He didn't.
He didn't.
Whether he scored.
He scored 73. So it is lower.
That's stuck in my mind, the 70 something. And again, there's a 7 in it, Rondo. What's going on here? It's like Sesame Street today with you.
Season snapshot is back. Dundee United played a total of 44 competitive matches during this season, as well as 6 pre-season friendlies. They finished 5th in the Scottish Premier League. In the cup competitions, lost to Celtic in the League Cup semi, beaten by Hamilton in the Scottish Cup 5th round. We started the season on the telly, getting beat 3-1 away to Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
The goalie that season was the only player to play every single minute of the season, with the next 3 highest appearances all coming from podcast pals. Our top scorer scored 10 of the 58 goals that season. 2 players were sent off. We got 60 yellow cards, and we lost out on a European place on goal difference. What season is it?
2008, 2009. Craig Levine.
Correct. Who were the 3 podcast pals? The goalie was Zaluska.
Okay. What was the podcast pals?
3. The next 3 highest appearances all came from podcast pals.
Calvinez? John Dillon?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, wow.
I saw one of them yesterday at the game. I was speaking about one of them yesterday before the game, and one of them was on this year on the pod.
Right, okay, so one of them's Paul Dixon. Come on. I honestly forget what I've spoke to.
Right, I was speaking about Craig Conway yesterday.
Okay.
Because I was doing a preview for North Ayrshire Radio.
Gomez.
About the game. Gomez was the other end. And I'll tell you a very quick story about that, right? So the guy got in touch this week, and I was like, fine, we'll do it. 11 o'clock or whatever it was. So, done the thing. It was just asking about the game, and they would mention Conway and whatever. But the guy who had arranged it, the guy Evan, was covering the game for them. So he actually come up to sort of introduce himself yesterday. And he says, I actually listen to your podcast every week. Now, if he's listening right now, because then we'll find out if it's true or not, I'm positive he's a Kilmarnock fan. I don't think he's any other fan. I think he's a Kilmarnock fan, right? And he said, I listen to your podcast every week. And I was like, what for? He says, well, you basically, you got beat for Ross County, and Jordan White scored a hat-trick, and I was wondering what was going on, so I found your podcast, and I says, Paul moaned the whole time. He's like, and I've no stopped listening. So I was like, Well, if that's how you find the podcast, because I meltdown when Jordan White scored a hat-trick. That's how you need to ken.
Yeah,
So.
I remember that one all too fucking well.
I've done a few of them. So that was that. And the person I saw yesterday at the game, and I just sort of said hi to, it was Lee Walkie.
But I seen him after the game, yeah.
So yeah, it was 2008, 2009. So 2 out of 3, not bad. Also played for Aberdeen, Albion Rovers, Arbroath, Dundee, Dunfermline, Hearts, Livy, Motherwell, Partick, Ross County, St Mirren.
Could be a number of players probably, and none of which I'm going to know. Albion Rovers, Aberdeen, Hearts, Ross County,
Arbroath, Dundee, Dunfermline, Livy, Motherwell, Partick, Ross County, St Mirren.
Not a clue. Not a clue. We'll be here all day, so not a clue. I'm out.
Jim Hamilton.
He's offshore these days, is he?
In the tower.
Sure he is. Sure he's an offshore worker.
Who am I? Came to the attention of Jim McLean after playing at Tannadice in a UEFA Cup tie. When I signed for United, I made scoring debuts in both the League Cup and the Premier Division. Was a regular on the side before losing my place towards the end of my first season. I scored 7 in 25 games. In my second season, it was a bit of a write-off. Just made occasional appearances, mostly for the bench. But I started the next campaign on fire. I scored 4 in 4, but found myself out of the team after refusing a contract extension and eventually got sold for almost £250,000. After playing, I went into management and started out as an assistant to Mixu Patalainen at Cowdenbeath.
I was thinking it was maybe Mixu. So it can't be him if he was assistant.
No, it's not him.
Played against us in Europe, and McLean snatched him. What would that be? No idea. I think as soon as you tell us, I'll be like, oh yeah, but I can't.
Well, young striker caught the attention of Jim McLean. Got signed for decent dough. Michael O'Neill.
No fucking striker.
That's how he started.
Nonsense.
That's how he started.
We've went back 300 episodes to this myth. He was a midfielder.
He was signed as a striker.
Honestly.
You know what I mean? So,
don't run for himself though.
We'll be back next week. Loan Report, Women's Team Academy, what's going on?
Yes, Loan Report, Miller Thompson at Ross County. Miller would get his first start in a while last midweek when the Dingwallers travelled to Perth to face the Sainties. It wouldn't be the spark that the Highland Tuchters needed though, as they still lost the game 2-0 and Miller was subbed off in 69 minutes for Ross Docherty. Then on Saturday, somewhat surprisingly, United allowed Miller to play for County in the Scottish Cup as they travelled to Motherwell. He started on the bench, came on in the 75th minute and couldn't help his side get through to the next round as they lost 1-0 on the day. In the game for Charlie Dewar at Alloa, Harry Welsh at Stirling Albion. Harry started his loan spell at Stirling with a seat on the bench as Stenhousemuir were the visitors to Fourth Bank. He would get on though, but he had to wait until the 85th minute to do so, and by then his side were trailing 2-1, which is the way the match finished. Then on Saturday, Harry would be an unused sub as East Kilbride were the visitors to Stirling and left with a 2-1 win. Calvin Beattie at Brechin City, game off again, he's still no played for Brechin. The co-op agreement with Airdrie. Scotty Constable. Young Scott was back through in Airdrie yesterday, fulfilling his cooperative agreement obligations. He started the Scottish Cup game against Arbroath on the bench though, but did get on in extra time. Scott came on in the 98th minute and played the last 22. As you'll all know by now, the match went to penalties and Airdrie won. Lewis O'Donnell at Cove Rangers. Lewis was again in the starting lineup as Cove travelled to Kelty on Scottish Cup duty. He'd play 63 minutes before being withdrawn for Fraser Fyvie, and the score at that time was 1-1. The game would ultimately go to extra time and penalties, and Kelty would win through 5-3. Lewis Haldane at Genefield Swifts. This past week, Lewis managed to get himself away from Cowdenbeath, but he's now a Swiftie. That's right. Lewis joined Genefield Swifts on loan till the end of the season, and he was due to make his debut away to Newton Grange Star on Saturday, but the weather put paid to that. The Academy team. Last Monday, the under-19s headed through to Glasgow to play a friendly against Celtic. Now, I'm not sure who exactly was in charge, be it Dickers, Stevie Leahy or Scott Allison, but whomever was pulling the strings managed to produce a team on the night that would take the game to Celtic and score 3 goals. Wonders will never cease, Rondo. New signing, Jojo Mampovisa, I think that's how you pronounce his surname, scored 2 on the night and also set up the winner for Finlay Simpson to smash home as the Young Terrors returned home with a 3-2 win. The women's team. It was the 4th round of the Scottish Cup last weekend for the ladies as Bonnyrigg Rose were the visitors. It was a game that they should win, and that is exactly how it played out. First half goals from Katie Frew and Danny Finlay saw the side in at the break with a 2-goal lead. At that point, it was almost job done. Into the second half, and the good guys added a further 3 goals with Rachel Todd notching a brace and Robin Smith scoring the 5th. Bonnyrigg did score a consolation on the day, but it mattered not as United cruised into the next round with a 5-1 win. Today, as we are recording this, the team are back on league duty and are at home to Livingston. I fancy a win in that one, Rondo.
Say a word for it, that's for sure. Our evening with Andy McLaren and Robbie Winters is completely sold out. It's just under 2 weeks away. Really looking forward to it. Friday, 30th of January at the Bonner Hall. We'll give you more information next week about times and
there's 2 tickets available because any of my buddies that can't go, he's got 2 tickets. So feel free to slide into my DMs if anybody's needing a couple of tickets. Don't bother Rondo with all that nonsense.
I'm saying that. We're hosting an evening with the men who kiss silver on Friday 27th of March at Chamber East for the longest 40. We'll be speaking to Brewster, Bowman, Conway and Dillon about 2 very special days at Hampden in 94 and in 2010. Tickets are on sale now. You can get them at thelongest40.com. That is at the end of March. So that should be a lot of fun as well, sharing silver kissing stories. Which one of the 4 years necked we the trophy missed?
Yes, and we could possibly take Conway hostage and make sure that we sign all these youngsters, these promising youngsters up and keep them at Tannadice.
If he doesn't want to, he'll get a magic C.
Yes, he will.
This week, we have swapped guestless places, and joining us to talk music and Dundee United is Idlewild frontman Roddy Woomble. Roddy Woomble, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, thanks for joining us remotely, of course, because where in the world do we find you today?
I'm at home. I live in the Hebrides. So I live on the island of Iona, and I've done that for the past sort of 16 years, I guess. So yeah, that's where I am.
Quite a slower pace of life, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I moved up here, I guess, when my son was born. So like a long time, because we lived in a wee flat in Glasgow, so we moved up here, and yeah, so he's almost away to leave home now. So yeah, so I've been here for that duration. It is a small, but then again, I don't work here. Obviously, I go backwards and forwards a lot, you know, to play gigs and write songs and stuff. So even though I do sort of live here, I don't really spend, you know, all my time here. So I think that balance of it is quite good for me.
Yeah. Obviously, known musically, Idlewild's frontman, you've done a lot of your own solo stuff. But how does it, we'll get to music, of course, but the main reason you're here is Dundee United.
Oh, of course.
But you've got a very interesting backstory on how, because your family moved about an awful lot before settling in Carnoustie for a little bit. Can you tell us about that?
Well, my family are all Dundonians. So, Dundee's the place I relate to most in Scotland, even though I wasn't born in Dundee, because my dad, at that point, he was working for ICI in Irvine. So I was born in Irvine on the west coast of Scotland, but all my family are Dundonians. So in the early 80s, my dad got a job. He moved from ICI to work for Michelin. And they originally put him to France. So I lived in France for 2 years when I was younger. And then he got transferred back to the Dundee plant. So that's why we all moved back to, because I don't think, my dad's not like, he's got a good relationship with Dundee now, but I think he wanted to leave it when he was younger. So he was ready to move back at that point. So I would have been 8 years old. So this is 1984. So we lived in Carnoustie. We didn't live in actual Dundee. My mum and dad bought a house in Carnoustie. So I'm coming back into this whole part of Scotland that I've never been to before, really, other than to visit my grandparents in Dundee. In 1984, obviously, an 8-year-old going to primary school, and I was really interested in football and played football, and Dundee United were just the team to support. And all my family, but my grandparents and my granddad Scott and granddad Woomble and my dad, all Dundee fans though. So they were all, but I guess because Dundee were that generation, Dundee were the best team, weren't they? They were the
come on now, Roddy.
So I was brought up in a family of like Dundee supporters, but in the 80s, 84, all my pals were Dundee United mad, and I very quickly became a major Dundee United supporter. So, and my granddad would take me to we went to quite a lot of matches. That's not my main time I've seen them. It's the 84-85 season and the 85-86 season. That's when we'd go to a lot of matches. Because Grandad Scott, he wasn't Glaswegian about it. He'd go and see Dundee United one week, Dundee the next week.
Yeah, a lot of people did that.
He would go, the football was his thing every Saturday afternoon. He'd go walk from his house in Stirling Terrace down to Tannadice or Dens. And I went with him a lot. So that's when I saw I was kind of really came under the spell of the magic of being there. And there's nothing really like going to see a match. I mean, I'm not really a football fan in terms of I don't watch football on TV much, or anything like that. I'm in the World Cup and stuff, obviously, but going to see a match at Tannadice or something, it's a bit like going to see a gig or something for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you remember the first game that you went to then?
Yeah, I do. Well, we would always go and see derbies.
Mm-hmm.
We'd always go and see, either at Dens and Tannadice, because that would involve all my family. All my family would kind of get into that. And kind of the sort of, you know what it's like. It's not like everyone's joking with each other. It's not like nasty. But I also went to see them a lot against that year. I remember seeing them against Morton. I looked on Wikipedia actually to find the matches because I couldn't remember. Because I bought programs, but annoyingly, I don't have them anymore because I'd love to have kept them. But I saw them against Hibs, Morton, Dundee. I went to see them against St Mirren. The one I remember is when Dundee United beat Dundee 4-0 that season at Tannadice. That was good. We would always be in the it was called the Fathers and Sons enclosure now. Then I mean, obviously now it's family because they realised that the daughters were to go and see matches as well.
As well as mums.
It was their fathers and sons, and it was a stand. I guess it's for the what's that now? What's that part of the Jim McLean?
The Jim McLean McLean stand. Yeah,
it was down. That's where we always went there. It was standing too. It was like it was before the seats were in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my background. It's basically like and then I went to grew up in Christie. I went to high school and all that. So Dundee was part of my life from then on. And going up to Dundee, and I still go. See my mum and dad still live in Christie, so I'm there quite often.
Do you remember as a kid when you went to Tannadice, just that noise when a goal would go in on a capacity, and you'd kind of think to yourself as a kid, and it could be quite scary, but also really exciting at the same time.
Yeah,
you never lose that as a kid.
I just think there's something about it that, and I'll get to this later when I talk about actually going back, because I had a long period of not going to Tannadice. But even the build up of walking down Carmichael Street and from where my grandparents lived, and the people would slowly but surely everyone would start arriving, and then through the turnstiles, and then you would get into up the stairs, and then you'd see the green of the grass, you'd get the smell of the turf, and the anticipation and the build up of it. It was like very vivid, and then obviously the excitement. I mean, they were a great team then. I mean, they won a lot of matches, and they had sort of Hamish McAlpine in goal, and he was a bit of a hero of mine because I was I played in goal for whenever we played football with my friends. It was just quite intoxicating, that whole period of being a fan of Dundee United, I think.
Yeah, and you see, very similar to me when I was a kid. I was a programme collector. I always bought a programme at the games, and just fascinated me. Like, you see when they went last year when they went digital only. I was gutted because we used to get one going in, and I always kept mine. I always kept programs. I loved that, just to look back and what was on it, and I was always amazed they could get the starting 11 right, but then there was only like 12 players in a team half the time. I loved doing that. Yeah, I was
the typeface of those ones in the 80s as well. I'm really interested in that kind of old like design and these kind of old, typefaces and fonts and stuff we used. I just remember the typeface was amazing. And I've looked online at some of them, like programs from the 80s. I'm just really annoyed. I guess my mum and dad must have thrown them out when I moved out or something. I did keep them for a long time though, It's definitely the kind of thing I can probably get into when I get older. Become like an obsessive collector of 80s programs.
I'm sure I've got loads in my loft. I'll see if I can get some to you.
Yeah, and they were like 5p, 10p, 20p, and now they're like £4.
Easy. When you were getting into United, then Roddy, did you ever get a strip bought for you, or did you save pocket money up to get a strip?
Actually, there's a photograph of me on my 8th Christmas, and I'm wearing like the full strip, and I've got the also got the tracksuit that year. I done the United ball, goalie gloves. I'm just like pure decked out.
Sweatbands.
I had a pair of slippers. Dundee United slippers as well.
Slippers.
Cheaper than boots, I suppose.
Yeah, it was the VG ones that was the one I remember. That was the first strip I had.
Yeah, it's a classic. Absolute classic. I'm assuming as a kid just playing, the dream was to be a footballer, but ultimately you ended up being a musician. Well, actually, no. My granddad worked for DC Thompson's, and I'm always a big comic reader, and I love drawing, and I always wanted to be, from a very young age, I always wanted to be an artist of some kind. So even though I enjoyed playing football, and I was a United fan, and all my friends would talk about that, my real passion was drawing, and I always wanted to be, my first thing I wanted to be was a cartoonist for DC Thompson's. Because Grandad worked for DC Thompson's, he got all the comics for free as well. So I get all the comics every week for free, and he would get all the surplus paper as well. So I'd always lots of paper to draw on and stuff. So that was my Dundee dream, was to basically be a cartoonist for DC Thompson's and to go to Tannadice every week.
It's not a bad dream.
No, it didn't work out that way, but
it worked out all right though.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, I'm assuming you were quite good at cartoons.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I used to make my own ones up as well, but like I would just copy it, the Banana Man and all that. Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I still love that drive down the Kingsway when you see Banana Man deciding
Is that not still there?
Still there.
I think it's still there, yeah.
It's still there, yeah. Which is brilliant. So, how did being a musician come into it then?
Well, I mean, another. I mean, not to bore you with my life story, but then, so when I was a teenager, my dad got transferred from Michelin Dundee to Michelin in America, in Greenville, South Carolina. They were doing that with quite a lot of people that worked for Michelin to go there. So I actually spent 2 years, teenage years, in South Carolina, in America, at high school there, which was a bit eye-opening. And we eventually moved back to Carnoustie because I think my parents were a bit worried about my education was all over the place because it was always going different places. So that was also, in a strange way, that when I lost my tie with Dundee United a wee bit, because before the internet, when we moved to America, there wasn't a lot of communication about, other than speaking to my grandparents, and then my granddad would tell me the United score or something. But very quickly, I got more interested in the sports that were going on in America, college football, that kind of stuff. And then eventually, like, my interest in music, and that sort of took over that in terms of, I went through periods of, like, we're talking like decades when, other than knowing what, the United score, not knowing really much about what was going on at Tannadice or the teams. And, very much I went from being a really intense fan as a 8, 9, 10-year-old boy living in, Carnoustie, to kind of spending my teenage years kind of not really that interested, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I got into music.
And did you get into it and form a band of any sort of level of talent and ability whilst in America, or did that come a little bit later when you moved back?
No, I formed my first band in America. We were a punk band. I was really into punk rock, sort of like late 80s sort of punk rock. So I formed a punk rock band with two friends. We were called this is quite funny because in America they don't know what this is, but we're called the Jobbies from Mars. They didn't know. They didn't know what a jobbie was. So I was like, and he was too embarrassed to tell his mum. So he said it's a Scottish word for a pickle. So it was this juvenile, where I was like 13, 14. So it was all like kind of, just punk rock, kind of really basic. I was in the drums. Always did our own stuff though. We never tried to do covers.
Yeah.
And that experience of playing music when I moved back to Scotland, moved back to Christy, because we moved back to the same house actually, and carried on my life at Christy High School and formed bands then. And we used to play. We never played in Dundee. We always played. There was quite a few country pubs, Fiddlers in Miniki, and then the Abakir Hotel in Christy. And then we started playing in Edinburgh and Glasgow. This is not Idlewild. This is my sort of school band. We were called Hair Shirt. Yeah. And then I moved to university. Well, did study photography, and that's when I formed Idlewild. But yeah, it was so. I've been in bands since I was like 13.
Mm. I suppose you're honing your craft when you're doing that. You maybe don't realise that at the time, but yeah, the Jobbies band, that's obviously what started it all. That's tremendous.
The Jobbies from Mars, right? Actually, we used to make tapes. Like, there were some of the good. I mean, weirdly, I remember the songs, and because I remember the songs, they must have been. Like they say that if you can remember like a melody, then it's a good song. So, and I do subscribe to that. Actually, I do think that you don't have to be like a talented musician to make a memorable song. And even at a 13, 14-year-old, we were writing catchy little melodies. But ultimately, we were never going to get anywhere with a name like the Jobbies from Mars. So
I don't know why.
And obviously Idlewild has been on the go a long time. I mean, how did that sort of get started and start to grow into the band it is?
Well, it's 30 years. It's actually a Monday. This Monday, it's 30 years since our first live show.
Wow.
Which is mad to think that. I mean, because obviously we didn't ever approach music as a career option. It was literally like a mode of expression and a way to hang about with your friends and socialize and to create something together. And we were just like, I guess, as surprised as anyone when we started to our songs started to connect with people. And obviously when your songs start to connect to people, we eventually got a record deal and that kind of thing, and one thing led to another. But, we were not coming to it from a careerist place. We were really like, none of us are trained musicians. We learned together. And those sort of shared ideals that we had, I think, were quite, I guess that's like one of the reasons people can respond to you, because they realize that you are like very authentic. There's an authenticity about what you're trying to do, which you quite often don't see so much anymore, I think. So that's why a lot of these bands like Idlewild, people really do, we've kind of soundtracked a lot of people's like adolescence, I suppose, and which also is a powerful connection to have. As a music fan, there's so many bands that have soundtracked my teenage years or 20s or 30s that like I really just have nothing but kind of like I suppose like positive vibes towards, and it's an interesting thing to be to try and be a full-time creative person. It's you need to be quite resourceful nowadays to do it, but I suppose because we started off like that, always doing things ourselves, it's quite a natural place for us to be.
And when you obviously got together, your mates, you're just having a good time, and then you get the record deal. When does it become serious? When does it make you think, right, we really need to knuckle down here? Like this is something that could be paying our bills, I suppose.
Yeah, again, I suppose it was the first time that we actually made some money from it. Not to just bring it all about money, but up until that point, the first couple of years of the band would just be like playing gigs for like £50, that kind of thing, covering the cost of. But we were never really. It was never about that. We were all like either had jobs or we were students, so we had something else that was going on. And the minute the band started to become the focus, I think that was probably when the first time we got maybe like £200 to do a show, and we were thinking, wow, that was like £50 each. And then subsequently things happened quite quickly for Idlewild in that way, because we'd put out a few singles on independent labels, and they'd attracted a lot of interest from people, and our concerts were quite chaotic and noisy, and people really got people, it was a word of mouth thing. People really responded to being there and wanted to come to another concert. And so eventually we signed to Parlophone Records, EMI Parlophone Records, but at the time we didn't sign a big record deal. There's still a lot of money in the music industry then, but we were sensible and very kind of suspicious of it all, being Scottish and living in Scotland. Every time you went to London, we were a bit we just thought everyone was an arsehole. Which is not true, because lots of lovely people there, but we had this innate kind of suspicion about everything. But because of that, we were we did a lot of things still. We had a very independent mindset. There's a lot of things ourselves, and the record label realised that was one thing that was really appealing about Idlewild, was we kind of knew who we were. And our fans were really attracted to that idea of they were really into, a little unit. Everyone works together, like the Smiths or REM, or I can't think of other bands. But every member's important, and there's something between them that just creates something that's quite special. And I suppose I remember the first time actually when we all got a check. When we first signed, we all got a check. It wasn't for a lot of money, but it was for maybe it was enough for me to pay my rent and for us to have money to live off. And I actually remember thinking that a real significant moment of thinking, wow, I'm actually going to maybe possibly make a living out of being in a band for the next year.
Yeah.
We just took it like that. We're never under any illusion that would be going for more than, there was always that sort of prevailing thought that, everything was so temporary and, there was going to be another band next year and that was going to be it. But I suppose we were just kind of confident enough in our own abilities that, we managed to kind of stand up and carry on.
Mm-hmm. And there must have been such a moment when you or some of the guys in the band, when it actually went from being, this is now our job. This is what we do. And with that, it might be different sort of, because you've been in the industry a long time now, but it seems like bands, as soon as they get signed or whatever, it's we need to move to London, we need to move here and move there and everything. That seems to be more different of a chase than, Did you guys feel that?
Well, I did live in London eventually, but that was, long down there. That was, 10 years into but we didn't feel that. No, I mean, I guess there was a trend. You're right. There was a lot of bands that were getting signed, Scottish bands that were getting signed around that time, who moved to London. But there was also a growing sort of independent culture in Scotland by bands who started around the same time as Idlewild, like Mogwai or Arab Strap or the Dogados, or all these groups that would put out records on independent labels, and they're very much centred about, it was very about Scotland was a big part of their identity and musical identity, and the way that, living in Scotland, and Scotland's got a lovely, wonderful music community, very supportive and small, so you get to know everyone very quickly. It's been great to be part of that over the years as well. They really benefited from that kind of, so I guess just the community of it is very important for anyone that's kind of creative, to support each other. And you wouldn't have that in London, because it's just so vast and everyone's out to try and, I guess I'm generalizing, but kind of more sort of selfish motives, whereas in Scotland I always felt it was much more supportive.
Yeah. Do you, because obviously it's a football podcast, but similar to football players getting nervous before certain matches, do you guys ever get nervous before a gig, or did you previously get nervous before gigs?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not a natural performer. I mean, you've seen me play concerts and I stand at the side and I'm not doing anything. I've never been, weirdly that's sort of become my sort of stage move, is actually not being on stage. I sort of moved to the side and let the band kind of get on with it. I'm naturally kind of a shy person really, so I'm not, the reason I ended up being a front man in the band was because I was originally a drummer, but when I met Colin from Idlewild, he drummed, so my role was then changed and I ended up being the singer and the front man. But I was never really that kind of guy, I wasn't looking for applause or, validation by being on stage. I loved being in a band, I loved making music and collaborating with my friends, and I love creative work, and working with other folk, and so my role within that was to sing the songs, but and to write the words and things. But I never really felt like I'm more important than anyone in the band. I'm literally part of the band that, they need the drummer, they need the guitar player, we need the bass player, we need the singer, and So that's always been my attitude towards collaborative work as well. I don't like being in charge. I like being part of it, and I suppose it's like teamwork. I suppose, like you're making to a football team in that way. That at the minute someone gets a bit, things just sort of. It's much easier if everyone plays for the same team. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like someone's trying to be like better than their teammates.
Yeah. When how more gig wise? How is your history of gigs in Dundee? Good, bad, intense, highs, lows.
I mean, I was a teenager in Dundee, and but it was difficult to get much going on there in the 90s. So I would always have to go. Me and my friends would always go to Glasgow or Edinburgh to see shows. Either the Barrowlands in Glasgow or the Edinburgh Venue, which is a great rock club. And you could buy the tickets from Groucho's, so we'd do that. We'd buy the tickets and then we'd, go to the shows. There was a gig in Dundee for a while at Lucifer's Mill. I don't know if you remember Lucifer's Mill.
Very well, yeah, down Session Street. Yeah,
so that they started putting on bands. So like Oasis played there, and like Supergrass, and if we'd go up, we'd get the bus up from Coniston to go see shows there. It was a strange place to see gigs. I don't know if you remember. Like they had the stage was so small that they put some of the band on another stage, and you had to walk through to get to the toilets. You had to
That's
go
right. Yeah.
I remember seeing the spiral carpets, and the keyboardist was on the other side, and you had to walk through the band to use the loo.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So I was never going to work out as a venue with that. I mean, that's a terrible situation for a band to be like having the audience walk through as you're playing.
Where would you have stood if that was your gig?
I guess I don't know. That's the thing. I would have stood to one side. So, and the Westport Bar, I went to see a few shows as well. There was a couple of Dundee bands at the time. I don't know if you remember. There was a band called the Geralds, and there was one called Broccoli. They were this kind of Dundee bands that I remember from the mid-90s that we used to go and see sometimes. And it was always the Westport Bar or Druthie Neighbours had a club downstairs.
Yeah, still do, yeah.
Yeah,
they're not the Jobbies from Mars though, are they?
No, absolutely
Jobbies from Mars, no, but we never played live. Yeah, we were.
Yeah. What was it? Was it a bit of a, given, let's say, Idlewild have been on so long, and I know you've done the anniversary tours and all the albums you've done and that, but was it a bit full circle stuff doing Livehouse before Christmas?
No, I loved it. I mean, I like, thing is, we've played Dundee a lot, generally always at Fat Sam's. And it's never been like, Fat Sam's is like, obviously it's like a kind of iconic Dundee club venue, whatever. It's never been, it's not a great place to play shows, I don't think. So it's really good that Dundee's got another venue, but like we were talking before we started recording, how big it is and how sort of still it's got so much space that needs kind of worked out what they're doing. It's kind of a work in progress that they're getting bands into.
Yeah,
I don't doubt that when it's actually going, they'll make a really good job of it. I think Live Nation bought it, so they don't buy venues unless it's going to be successful. It's close to the station as well, so people can always travel to it. And we got a good crowd because the Aberdeen and the Glasgow shows are sold out, so they added the Dundee one in, and a lot of people came from out with Dundee to go to it. And I did really like the idea of like like Dundee's somewhere I've known all my life, and grew up near Dundee, and went to lots of shows, and always frustrated that there was never somewhere that you could see these kind of bands at a certain size that could tour. And now Dundee has that. And I think that's really exciting, actually, to be able to, go and see these bands that would normally play the Barrowlands will now be booked into Dundee as well. So hopefully, I think the Doves and Franz Ferdinand, quite a few other bands are booked there already. So that'll just carry on. That'll carry on next couple of years. You'll see a lot more bands playing Dundee.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Do you have, obviously you've played numerous gigs all across the globe. Do you have any that stick in your mind as being your favourite gig?
My favourite gig is the Glasgow Barrowlands. I just think
it's a great venue. It's a great
venue.
It's like,
but it's actually like, I mean, I've been lucky enough to play all over the place at some great venues too. But there's something about the Glasgow Barrowlands that I don't know. It's not just Scottish bands that love it. It's every band that play it love. American bands love it. You could travel all over, and if you say you're from Scotland, and so many bands we've met over the years, they always mention the Glasgow Barrowlands. It's this. I think it's because within the walls and the floor and the ceiling, all these, it contains so many good memories for people, like having these amazing sort of epiphanies in the crowd, or bands having amazing gigs from the stage. It has just a sort of spirit about it. And whether wishing to sound a bit strange saying that, you feel something when you're in that room, and that's from an audience point of view, but also from a performing point of view. Something, and you're quite from a performing. When you're on stage, you're very high above the crowd, so you feel really connected to them. And I think from an audience point of view, you feel close, even though it's quite a big venue, you feel very close to the band. So it does something to the audience and the band. They feel they're there together. And it's one of the few venues in the world where I think that the audience and the band make the show together. You're all part of it there at the Glasgow Barrowlands. And also it's just the lights and I remember when I was younger going there, where I was terrified. That bar next door, Baird's Bar, it was just full of like absolute nutcases. But now that whole area has changed.
Still is.
No, it's all quite kind of. I couldn't believe it. Last year we went to a show, went to see a band called Dry Clean, and then we had a drink at the bar next door. And I was like, oh my God, you would never have done this in the 90s. You would be like, you were just waiting to get in so you could get, because I felt like you felt kind of dead, like your life was in danger or something.
Well, you do much bigger gigs this year than supporting My Chemical Romance at Belarus.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange. Well, they used to come and see us play a lot, and when we did a lot of touring in America in the early 90s, and Idlewild were kind of pitched as a sort of Scottish emo band during that time. So which is kind of weird, but we were sort of seen as a sort of Scottish emo band, so we got to know quite a lot of those bands. And the guy, the bass player, Mikey from My Chemical Romance, came to see Idlewild a few times. So it's nice that they still like the band, because they chose all the supports for their tour. So they reached out to us. We were a bit worried that we'd be like just a bunch of old guys, and the audience would be like dead young. But I think the audience is a bit older too. So it'll be most people. I think it'll all be people in their 30s plus, which is fine, because if it was teenagers, then we would just I don't know. I just feel so weird. It's 40,000 people though. They sold out that in like a day or something.
Yeah. Now, does that not make you nervous? Does that not make you nervous?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not, but I'm doing it in context of something that I've done it a lot. I've done this a lot before in context of that. I'll get on a stage to do what you guys do. I'd be more nervous doing that. You're actually talking yourself, whereas I'm in a band and I'm playing songs that we've played loads of times, and I know my role. Yeah. I don't have to speak much. I don't really speak that much in between songs. So I basically do. I'm confident in what I'm doing. So I'm not nervous in that respect. But yeah, getting in front of stage in front of anyone is it's so weird. I always think what the hell am I doing up here?
Why is everybody looking at me?
Yeah, exactly. It's just can everyone just stop looking at me?
Yeah. Before we get your 10 and 6 aside, which we always like to do, how does 2026 look for yourself and for Idlewild? What else is happening?
Yeah, we're doing some more shows, which we're announcing next week actually. So we're doing some more UK shows and some festivals, and then I make solo records as well. So I'm going to start thinking about doing another one of them. So yeah, I just kind of have to, as I said before, you've got to be pretty resourceful trying to make a living out of being creative nowadays. But I'm lucky that I've done it for a long time, and a lot of people like the songs that I come up with. So I'm just going to carry. I guess I'm a lifer in it now. I've done it I'm 50 this year, so I've been doing it since I was 19. So. I guess I just want to carry on as long as I can.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer working with the band or working on your own?
For different reasons. Well, when I work I don't work on my own. I work with a different group of musicians, and there's a real group of lovely folk as well. So I do enjoy it. So it's a big thing is socially. It's just a way of just hanging out in a really lovely way. Like the way you guys are hanging out and chatting about football, and you're having a really nice time doing it. And that's a similar sort of thing when I meet up to do songwriting with my friends. It's it has a casualness to it, which is lovely. Idlewild's a wee bit more focused because it's a bit more, but it's still we've known each other for so long that socially it's just first and foremost it's just a good time. And then because if you have that attitude towards it, then really good music comes from that, that feeling.
Is any other band members into football? They got a team.
Yeah, well,
that they follow.
Andrew Mitchell, Billy's based in Idlewild, he lives in Dundee. He's Dundonian. He's Dundee supporter.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah,
Can we not kick him out the band?
Put him in the back. Right in the
he's
back.
quite funny.
Instead of you going to the side
he's a
of
bit
the
like
stage.
me, though. He's not like although I think he used to go to a lot of matches, but not anymore. Guitar player Rod, he's from Leeds. He's a Leeds United supporter, and he's probably the biggest football fan in the band. Like
Right.
he's really into it. And Colin, the drummer, is a kind of he grew up in Macduff, so he's kind of an Aberdeen supporter.
Yeah.
And then Lucci plays the keyboards. Just he's not interested in football.
Maybe he's the wise one.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like we don't my main friends that I go to United matches with they're not in the band. They're just old friends from when I was younger. So I have a wee kind of crew that we go, and although I don't get to go to many matches. Actually, last time when they were in the championship last time, I went to quite a lot of matches because I'm in Glasgow much more often. So I saw them, and United against Morton and Queen's Park and Partick. So it's kind of handy, and also it was great because they were winning all those matches. It's the thing.
Correct.
There's for so many years I'd go to Tannadice since I started going again, and kind of like in the mid about 2015 onwards, that's when I started really re-engaging with the team again and going. Partly because my son was kind of sort of interested in it, and he's not anymore. He's not bothered about it, but we started going a bit more with my dad, and started to kind of reconnect with the friends that went regularly, and I loved going back. That I was saying that before about it was so vivid to go back after, because there's a break of like 20-30 years of me going to Tannadice, and honestly it's like time of just like, when I bit into Tannadice pie, my youth came back to me. Everything was just so like, I was just like, it was a portal to my past. I was suddenly 8 years old again, and I felt great. And I was thinking, maybe there's so many people around me that are the same way, like the old guy that was sitting beside me. I'm thinking, he probably comes every week, he feels like, a kid again, you know what I mean? It does something to you being there. The same way that, like, not to make the comparison again, but the same way that when we play concerts and you can see people in the front row, they're, in their 40s now, but they've been coming to see Idlewild since they were a teenager probably. And when we sing these songs they love, they suddenly become a teenager again. It's like, you're allowed to be that teenager. You're allowed to be whoever you want to be, at a show, and you're allowed to be whoever you want to be when you're at a match as well, to an extent. You can really just be
within the boundaries of the law. Within the boundaries of the law.
Yeah.
We should say.
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's a really special thing to go and see. When I go and see, I mean, you go every week, so it's different for you guys, but when I go, it's like a special occasion. Like you get to go like once a season, maybe twice a season max. I love it. It's just even, the anticipation to walk up to it, the whole thing is like, for me is like, it's connected to my youth, and it's very nostalgic, and I'm a fan of Tannadice. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, you get to live it weekly through Paul's moans. That's amazing.
Well, that's another really good thing about the podcast, is like it's really made me re-engage with the history of the club, which is really fascinating to me, and how it's the history of Dundee is like through the football teams. And I really, a lot, especially during lockdown, the podcast was just, it was brilliant. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
It kept us going as well, I think, in fairness.
No, we appreciate that, we really do. I could get a feeling of how this 10 and 6's side may look.
Well, I was a bit worried about this because I said before, I'm not an aficionado. I don't know that many. And there's massive gaps in my United knowledge.
That's fine.
That's all right.
That's fine. Let's get.
That's
all
another
you
really
need
good
is at
thing.
least on you go. You need at least a goalkeeper. That's all I'm going to say.
It's been interesting because when you've had all the ex-players on from periods that I didn't really follow the team that much, it's been making me go back and find out more about that,
Yeah.
So, it's really cool. So I've got to pick six players.
Yes.
1 goalkeeper, 5 outfield. Don't care about formation. Just give us you.
Well, I'm definitely going to pick Hamish McAlpine because he was my hero. He was my absolute...
You can also play up front if you're at a loss.
Yeah, and I remember the first time actually I saw him in goal. He used to do a thing when he used to, I don't know if he did this was a lot, but he used to jump up and grab onto the top goal and sort of move across it, like a sort of like a monkey or something. So he,
That's Hamish.
yeah,
Hamish is in. He's the first name.
Hamish is definitely in goal. And then I've got my Morris Malpass was my favourite footballer.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
Super Mo.
So can
Good
he be in the
start.
team too?
Yep, he's in. It's your team.
Can I have Paul Hegarty in there as well?
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, why would you not?
Because
I'll
he
just
was
spell
like,
his name Gegarty. That's wrong. Paul Gegarty is not in the team. Paul Hegarty's in. Yep.
Paul Hegarty is like, I don't know. He just felt like I don't know. He was like, I don't know. When he had the ball, it felt like everything was better.
So good.
And as
He's
a
so
person, Heggie is an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, I'm
He's
sure
one
he
of
is,
the best. He's one of the nicest people you could ever wish to meet. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, I would
Hamish,
definitely.
Malpass, Hegarty.
Now I'm going to jump forward now because otherwise I'd say because Paul Sturrock, he was another hero, but I won't do Paul Sturrock. I'll choose three more modern ones from the sort of recent years. Lawrence Shankland, I'm going to put because I went that season, that 2 seasons he was playing for United. That's when I went to see a lot of matches, and
he was good.
He was so exciting. Well, I didn't go and see matches in obviously the lockdown bit, but I watched a lot of them on, online when you could watch them on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought he was like, he felt like, for me anyway, again, I'm no aficionado, but I felt like a kind of player that was, gave me the same feeling as a lot in the matches in the 80s. Just a guy that as soon as he got the ball, you felt he could score something, Where it's just the same as like I remember going to see, in the United in the 80s whenever Paul Sturrock had the ball, he would just run at the defence, and there was a palpable feeling in the crowd that he's going to score or he might
Something's
score.
going to happen. Yeah, something's going to happen here.
And that absolute, that the energy and excitement that brings into the crowd suddenly, it felt like that with Lawrence Shankland a wee bit,
Yeah.
So
so Shankland's up there. 2 more.
Now this is where I gets like I don't know what the best thing would be to do here. Another player I know you guys liked him too. Another player I enjoyed watching was Ian Harkes recently.
Yeah.
Paul loves that shit.
I enjoyed watching him.
Is that a strange? Is that a strange choice?
No, it's your team. It's your team.
I just thought he was I don't know, he was about a sort of cavalier sort of vibe about him. And I was at that match when the 6-2, when they beat Dundee 6-2.
Yeah, he scored the 5th.
That goal he scored was amazing.
Yeah, it deserves to be in it for that. I mean,
he just seemed like he just seemed like I don't know, a kind of a good guy as well.
He was.
A gentleman. I mean, has to be in a separate room for Paul, but
restraining order aside, he was a top man.
So, Hamish McAlpine, Morris Malpass, Paul Gray, Lawrence Shankland, Ian Harkes. Who's the final name in Roddy Womble's Tennant Sixes side?
I get the feeling a lot of people who listen to this are going to can't believe I'm putting Ian Harkes or like Lawrence Shankland in the team. When all the people, I guess all the stars of the 90s and stuff like that. But the only other one I know that I've watched matches back online, bits and clips and stuff, and it seems to be pretty exciting, is Johnny Russell.
Johnny Russell. Yeah.
He's probably in quite a lot of, or Ryan Gold as well. I guess it's
the Tennant Sixes. It's not the Tennant Sevens, Roddy.
Well, I don't. What are those guys? What are those guys? I'm gonna choose Ryan Gold.
Ryan Gold.
You'll no disagreements from us.
A magician.
Yeah. Again, like I say, there's huge gap. I've got huge gaps in my knowledge of the proper teams and stuff like that. So I've really only been sort of re-engaged completely for the past 10 years. Maybe not even that. Maybe 8 years actually, in terms of going to matches more regularly and stuff, and listening to the podcast and finding out more about this. As I say, these years when I was basically on tour, not paying attention to. Well, I always knew where they were in the league, or if they're winning or losing, but not not being the kind of fan that I've become now again in my 40s, and so it's weird for me because I was a massive fan from till about 13, and a massive fan again in my 40s. I kind of found them again, I'm sure there's lots of people that listen to podcasts or go and see Dundee United that are similar, that have periods when they come and their life takes over and they won't get to the matches or whatever. And they come back into it, and they're just and it's still there, and it's it's a lovely thing that it's just still there, and you can always go back into it. and feel that way that you did when you were younger.
So thank you very much to Roddy Woomble there for joining us all the way over from the Isle of Iona. Gave us some time this Sunday afternoon, and he's picked a very different Sixers team from the one that we're used to seeing.
Right, on this day then, association with the Arab Archive, preserving the history of Dundee United Football Club since 2006. 19th of January, as I just had a wee look at the calendar and make sure that was the correct date, because, well, me and numbers. Games, the Battle of the McLeans in 1991 ended with Jim getting the victory over brother Tommy. Motherwell started the better team, but United dominated the second half. Barry Conley at the double, with Billy McKinlay adding the third to finish United 3, Motherwell 0. A warm-up for the Scottish Cup final, some would say. It was a goalless first half against Aberdeen in 2008. It was brought to life in the second, though, as United were handed the lead when Jamie Langfield blasted a back pass against the on-rushing Noel Hunt, and the ball spun over the keeper and into the back of the net. Barry Robson got a superb double, secured a 3-0 victory. Another 3-0 victory, this time for United, in the New Firm derby. Aberdeen missed a penalty. United capitalised, dominating the second half. Johnny Russell grabbed a hat-trick in the middle of a Manuel Pascali double away to Kilmarnock in 2013. And 2,200 Arabs made the trip to Montrose in 2019 as United got their Scottish Cup campaign off to a winning start. Podcast pal Margaro Gomez made his third debut for United as he rolled back the years in the middle of the park. But it was another debutant who would grab the admiration, the uncomfortable love, and the hearts for eyes emojis of a certain Paul McNichol. Ian Harkes made a scoring debut for the bench. United went on to win 4-0, and from that day on until Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, Paul McNichol had found the one. Heartbreaking stuff, really. Signings for you today then. Left half ball. Leonard Wing made 86 appearances, scored 9 goals. His first goal for the club, most people will know it, he scored a penalty. We beat Dundee 5-0. Of course we did. He was signed on this day, right, 1965. But Jerry Kerr signed him. But I've got a fun fact for you about Leonard Wing. Before the transfer could go ahead, he had to ask for a leave of absence for the Fireys.
Change days.
So he got it for a year. He got it extended to play to the end of the 66-67 season. But he asked for another and it got denied. So he had to go him and go back to being a Firey and play part-time.
Jeez.
I did not know that.
No, same. Different days, Rando.
Indeed. We were talking, obviously, of... also played for, well, Paul Sturrock on this day in 2000 spent 150 grand on Jim Hamilton.
Never had though.
And just a one birthday, 45 appearances, 12 goals for a front man who had 2 loan spells at United, scored a winning goal after coming on as a sub in the Iron Brew Cup final. Thomas Mickelson is 36 today.
36? Jeez, oh. Wow.
Tough paper round, is that what you're saying?
Chernobyl.
Right, episode 319, I think it is done. You can find out more at DodeFoxPodcast.com. Follow us on the socials for at Dode Fox Podcast. You can like, subscribe, click the notification bell on YouTube, support the pod at buymeacoffee.com/Dode Fox Podcast. And you can slide in among Nicholas' DMs if you're looking for 2 tickets to the live show in a couple of weeks. Do have a great week. Stay safe. Don't forget to wash your hands and your arsehole.